Happy Sunday, Tampa Bay. We're with you for another week here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show, like we are every Sunday at 10 o'clock here on WFLA News. I'm Andrew Duncan, flying solo in the studio today to give you all the insight and intel about everything going on with the Tampa Bay real estate market. When we aren't on air, make sure to follow us on all of our socials. We are at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Not hard to find, and we're constantly putting out relevant real estate information about what is going on in Tampa Bay and beyond sometimes. But most of our focus on our show and on our social channels is about what is going on in Tampa Bay. And again, at the Duncan Duo when we aren't on air. I want to remind everybody, today is our client appreciation event. So a reminder for those that have RSVP'd and a last-minute shot for anyone that's a last-minute planner that wants to go out today to Amalie Arena from 2 to 6 p.m. We have our annual appreciation party. Real estate agents are invited, as well as anybody that has, look, if you're listening to the show, you're invited. And anyone that's bought or sold a home with our real estate team will be there in full force today. Free food, ice skating on the Amalie Arena ice. We'll have some cool giveaways. Very kid-friendly event. So there's no alcohol because the skating on the ice, but so kid-friendly, caricature artists, a lot of fun entertainment, DJ, photo booths, and so much more. Again, from 2 to 6 p.m. today at Amalie Arena. You can RSVP DuncanDuoParty.com. You do have to have a ticket. So you need to go to our Eventbrite link, and it is DuncanDuoParty.com. Again, DuncanDuoParty.com. Posted this on my Facebook this week. Probably one of my most favorite properties that I have ever put on the market. We put on the market this week at 2014 Pioneer Drive in Lakeland. And I want to explain why this $2 million property is one of my favorites. Now, I live in the South Tampa area, really close to my office, and I have an incredible house. I'm very happy there. But there's a part of me growing up in Indiana that's still kind of tied to the country, and the property we listed on Pioneer Drive is about 8,000 square feet. It's on 9 acres. It's got a 10-plus car garage. It has a guest house and a guest apartment, all really nicely done. Very high-end construction, very private, an incredible pool with a waterfall and water feature. The interior of the home is, again, impeccable. High-end finishes, incredible kitchen, chef's delight in this kitchen. And anyway, it's one of my most favorite properties. I could totally see myself living there in a few years. I'm not ready for it yet, so that's why it's on the market, or else I would have bought it. But 2014 Pioneer Drive in Lakeland, listed for $2 million. Again, just an incredible property. And as a guy's guy, there's a man cave, pool, 9 acres. There's a barn, and then in addition to that, there's a 2,000 plus square foot garage with higher ceilings, so you can do lifts in there, all kinds of toys, and just again. This is a property that add a zero to it in other parts of the country is what it would cost, and still an hour from Tampa. So you can find more information about that at theduncanduo.com. You can also Google 2014 Pioneer Drive or go to YouTube and watch our video, again, just by searching for 2014 Pioneer Drive in Lakeland. Again, one of my favorite properties that I've ever listed. Want to also talk about anyone listening that is thinking about a real estate career, whether you're thinking about joining my team. You want to set up a consultation to learn about LPT Realty if you're an agent that wants to run their own business. We have all the information you need at jointheduo.com. You can set an appointment with me. You can apply for one of our open positions. You can register for our career night or register for our LPT real estate agent rally. You can do all of that and so much more at jointheduo.com. So if you're not getting what you need where you are in this shifting market, you're not seeing the number of leads, you don't have a database to call, you don't have coaching and training, we have all of that for you at jointheduo.com. And so much more, again, for anyone thinking about a real estate career, thinking about a change, again, at jointheduo.com. So always talking about the real estate market. And I mentioned the spring market is upon us. A lot of people are predicting that interest rates are going to drop in the second half of the year. And what happens when interest rates drop to the real estate market is that demand increases. Our real estate coach recently talked to our team this week and said that some of the predicted interest rates could create and add an additional 10 million buyers to the home buyer pool in the second half of the year that are unable to buy right now because of interest rates. So the affordability has obviously been an obstacle as prices have risen in Tampa, but some relief from monthly payments could be on the way. And if that happens, a lot of people are predicting to see a bit more appreciation and value rise in the second half of the year. A couple of years ago, we were seeing 27 to 30% annual appreciation in some of our core neighborhoods, and that has dropped down to the 4 and 5% range. But many local real estate professionals and economists are predicting that if interest rates do drop, we'll see an uptick in appreciation and values will rise, meaning that if you wait until rates rise, you're going to miss out. So if you have the ability to buy now, we're encouraging people to look at doing it now before the rate drops, because what's going to end up happening if you can afford it and if you can qualify, most lenders out there, including our preferred lenders that work with us at our company, and Fairway Mortgage and American Home Mortgage Services Incorporated, both of our preferred lenders do have the ability to do a free refinance within a period of time. And this is to keep people from sitting on the sideline. So if you are someone that can qualify to buy now and you're saying, oh, I'm going to wait till rates drop, the price increase is going to offset your payment and cause you more of a net worth loss than buying and incurring the higher rates for 6 months or so before the rates drop. So a lot of people, again, smart money right now is buying now with the expectation in the second half of the year we'll see prices rise with a rate drop. Again, in an election year, a lot of economic things, the Fed has come out and said and predicted these things. And again, if that does bump interest rates down on mortgages, it will cause a surge in buyers. We'll have a stronger second half of this year than we did last year, a much stronger, and we'll see prices rise and increase the appreciation from the 5% that was predicted. It's going to bump up and go higher, meaning that an average price home in Tampa Bay could go from $450 to as high as $500,000 or more, depending on the impact. So certainly that increase in price could offset whatever gain you think you're going to get by a lower mortgage rate. So again, the idea is buy now, afford it, and then get a lower rate later when rates soften, like most people expect that they will. So the smart people are looking to do that right now, and anyone out there that can qualify. Now, there are plenty of people, as I said earlier, there are millions of consumers that can't qualify or can't qualify for the quality of house they want, so they're sitting on the sideline simply because when rates drop, it will open it up for them. But it'll only open it up for a brief time, because if prices rise, again, the drop in interest rate will be offset by the raise in price that we'll see. So our supply and demand curve is still very healthy in Tampa. We're still hovering around 3 to 4 months of inventory in most neighborhoods, up from a couple of years ago where we saw 1 month of inventory, but not certainly anywhere near a buyer's market. Still a very, very much a seller's market, just a little bit more balanced. We are still seeing bidding wars. It is happening. Is it as common as it was a couple of years ago? No. But we had a $2.8 million condo just recently get a bidding war. We had a couple of $400,000 and $500,000 houses get bidding wars. So it is still happening. Is it as common as it was a few years ago? No. But inventory is still relatively light in some neighborhoods, and there is still strong demand. And the demand isn't just from regular consumers moving here. We've never had a time where there have been more institutional investors buying real estate in Tampa Bay. So sometimes the demand isn't, Joe Davis that's moving from some other part of the country. Sometimes the demand is from, blankety blank LLC or so-and-so hedge fund that is just acquiring real estate in our market because they expect that are a market to outperform other markets across the country. So they're turning them into either rentals and holding them to resell or renovating them. So there is a lot of institutional cash money out there buying real estate. So you're not just competing with people moving into Tampa anymore. You're also competing with these large funds that have billions of dollars that are buying real estate in droves, especially in our market, because they see it as such a healthy market. So again, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show here on WFLA. When we aren't on air, follow us at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and so much more. I mentioned earlier our appreciation party for both real estate agents as well as all of our past clients and listeners is today from 2 to 6 p.m. You still have a chance to RSVP and get a ticket, but you need to go to Duncan Duo Party right now, DuncanDuoParty.com right now. Again, DuncanDuoParty.com. If you want to come out to Amalie Arena today, have a chance to win some Lightning signed merchandise, skate on the Amalie Arena ice with your kids and family, get some free swag. I think we've got some Lightning hats that we're going to give out to the first visitors or the first guests. So again, DuncanDuoParty.com. Come out, enjoy a day on us. And if you're thinking about selling your home, one thing I've talked about on the show quite a bit is in addition to our team assisting clients with the process of selling their home through an agent, we also provide cash offers to clients. So we buy a lot of real estate. So there are plenty of customers that come to us and say, hey, this home needs a lot of work and I know it's not going to be able to sell in the traditional market, or I need money fast, or I need to sell it and have someone that will allow me to stay in it for a little while, or I inherited this home, or I've got this home under contract and my home was under contract. It fell apart. I need someone to step in. All of those situations are a perfect situation for somebody that can step in with a cash offer, and that is something we do. We make offers every single day of the week, have millions of dollars to invest in local real estate, and if you want that, just go to DuncanDuo.com. You can get a home value estimate on there as well, but there's a little button. Once you go through the prompt of entering your address, you have the ability to request a cash offer. And again, you can do that again. You can get an instant cash offer, sell your house, avoid the hassle, move on, and it doesn't matter how much work it needs. There are a lot of investors out there that are, and hedge funds that buy homes that, just need minimal work, but we're willing to buy stuff that needs massive renovations. We've bought everything from a $700,000 house recently to a $150,000 house. And everything in between of homes that needed massive renovation. So you can get a cash offer again at DuncanDuo.com. And we're going to continue this conversation after a quick break here on WFLA News. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. Andrew Duncan at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Always talking about Tampa real estate on our page. Also reminding real estate agents of the opportunity they have to either join our team or join LPT Realty. You can learn so much more about that at jointheduo.com. And if you are a real estate agent and you want some tips about how to become a better real estate agent, I launched a movement called the Do-Over Movement. Kind of a fun spin on, my team name, the Duncan Duo, with the idea that I was going to release these video series to help you avoid some of the common mistakes I've made. And I recorded, a ton of videos, and we're putting them up on the page. So if you're a real estate agent looking for help or advice for free, we're doing that at doovermovement.com. So the best time to sell a home in 2024 is coming soon. A new analysis online basically said that the week of April 14th is the perfect mix of market conditions for home sellers for a lot of reasons. So between April 14th and 20th, according to them, is the best time to sell a home. Now, look, keep in mind, they blend a lot of national data to come up with this. So there are parts of the country where this may not make sense. But in Tampa Bay, it definitely does align properly because right now is the best time to put it on the market simply because we know interest rates are going to drop. By the time you find your buyer, it's ready to close. Interest rates may be softened. And then, of course, your ability to buy improves as interest rates soften. So the spring market is the rush. The summer are a lot of the closings, but the majority of the housing inventory is getting a lot more eyes during this upcoming week. So this study said that in 2024, homes that were listed during this period sold for 10.4% higher than the start of the year. It's a seasonal trend. A national median listing price is higher and substantially higher than the start of the year. Now, keep in mind, nationally, they talk about seasonality. We don't have seasonality in the same token, in the same way that other parts of the country do. So for us, we might look at it and say April 14th to the 20th is the best, but all these other weeks are pretty comparable too, the rest of the spring and summer. The reason why this statistic is kind of misleading a little bit, and while it is still relevant to Tampa, but just not as drastic of a difference. We have parts of the country that are cold up until about then, so people aren't out looking at homes. So this is when it starts to warm up. So the temperature every year thaws throughout most of the northern part of the country, and people are out looking at homes and ready to buy, and that's when your house needs to be out there. That isn't really relevant in Tampa. Now, that doesn't mean that April the 14th isn't the best time of year, because it still probably is for us, but it's not such a big disparity between April 14th and either May or June or February, because we just don't have the climate seasonality that the rest of the country has. So when you see these articles, anytime there's a real estate article that talks about national news, it can be misleading, because you may read it and say, oh, wow, this applies, but blending data from across the country to come up with a statistic or a particular week of when the right time to sell your home is a little bit misleading for Tampa Bay, because we are an outlier. We don't have those climate obstacles, and our moves don't handle that way. We have a large military base, so there's a lot of moves driving that. But ultimately, April 14th is an incredible time to put your home on the market for a variety of reasons, but seasonality isn't as important here as it is in other areas. While it may be the best time, it's not like a 10% better time than the next week or the week after that. So don't think if you don't get your house on the market by April 14th that you missed it. It just isn't the case. So, but now is a really good time to put your home on the market in Tampa Bay. We're seeing an uptick in the number of clients reaching out to us to put their home on the market. We're getting more online views. So the market is starting to turn. And I think there are a lot of people that are aware that interest rates are softening, and they're aware of that, so they're starting the process of looking. They're starting the process of selling their home, and they're getting ready for the surge of the real estate market. So again, the time right now to sell your home, it's definitely the right time. And I think buyers realistically need to look at the overall plan of home ownership. People say, oh, well, you're stuck in that interest rate for 30 years. Well, yeah, if interest rates don't improve over a 30-year period, and I'm just curious if anyone out there can explain to me a 30-year period over history in this country where interest rates have stayed the same or only gone up for 30 years. Just doesn't happen. So the reality is you're agreeing to that interest rate until interest rates get better. The price, however, you're agreeing to forever. So if prices are going to rise when interest rates drop, why wait if you can't afford it? Again, there are people that can't afford to buy. We know that. We know that the market is going to bring more of those people forward. When interest rates drop, we're going to increase and see a surge of buyers. But if you have the ability to afford, waiting may not make sense, because you'll gain in value when rates drop and then have the ability to get your interest rate dropped while having also gained some equity that you won't gain if you wait until then, which again is a major component of what a lot of people are, smart people are doing right now, and a lot of real estate agents are encouraging. So again, when we aren't on air, hit us up at the Duncan Duo on all of our social channels. If you want an instant cash offer for your house, go to duncanduo.com. We'll send you an instant cash offer. We will help you navigate through the process of whether you want to sell your home traditionally through the retail path, or whether you want cash, or whether there is a fund out there that will pay more than we will. That happens sometimes as well, where the product is something that we can bring you another cash offer from someone else, not us. So again, if you want a cash offer, duncanduo.com. And sign up there to get your cash offer. We'll be back continuing this conversation after a quick break here on WFLA News. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. And I want to talk about taxes really quickly because there's a lot of discussion, and I hear rumbling sometimes from local people that prices are rising so much and my taxes are so high, my property taxes are so high. And there was a study done recently to basically break down states. And while your taxes on your property may be high because the value's gone up, I want to compare Florida to other parts of the country because this helps you understand why so many people are moving here. While you may think your taxes are high, when you compare them to what is going on in other states, the story is pretty clear why people keep flocking to Tampa Bay, why people keep moving here. So which state really has the lowest taxes? This study was done recently by Wallet Hub that broke down the average overall state tax burden in each of the 50 states, showing where residents can expect to spend the smallest share of their income on taxes. It should be no surprise that the Northeast dominates the taxes, the tax situation, the high tax states. However, New Hampshire is an outlier. It is the state with the lowest overall state tax burden. Property taxes in New Hampshire are among the highest, but income tax and sales tax are among the lowest, bringing the total tax burden below nearby Massachusetts and below all states in the U.S. except Alaska. So again, if you look at the climate of those areas, again, Alaska, low tax burden, but it's really freaking cold. So a lot of people don't want to live there, right? So similarly, Massachusetts and New Hampshire have parts of the year that are very, very cold. So when you look at the other states without income tax that made the list of the 10 states with the lowest overall tax burden, you have Wyoming, Florida, Tennessee, South Dakota, and Nevada. Delaware is kind of a surprise, but Texas ranked a middling number 37 with an average state tax burden simply because some of the other taxes they have. Florida has benefited dramatically from our tourism tax. So while you may feel like, oh, my property taxes are high, you don't pay any state or local municipality taxes outside of sales tax and, in some of those increased tourism areas. So the reality is when you look at your income that goes towards actual tax, Florida is one of the best states in the country. And it's why we continue to get population growth. It's why our real estate market continues to do well. And whether you like it or not, it's why we have more people moving here. It's why our roads are more populated. It's why it takes a little longer to get to places because, through the last few years, people have looked at the deal that they're getting in California and New York and other parts of the Northeast, and they say to themselves, hey, this isn't a really good deal. I'm paying all this extra money, and what am I getting for it? And I've got to deal with snow all these times of the year. So Tampa continues to get a strong population growth, as does the rest of Florida. So New York State, once again, ranked number 1 in the nation for state taxes with an average burden of 12%, followed by Hawaii at 11.8%, Vermont at 11.1%, Maine at 10.7%, and California at 10.4%. New York and Hawaii are among the most expensive states in the U.S. in terms of home price and also carry the highest total tax burden. If you look at the tax burden of New York compared to Florida, it is double, literally double. The percentage. Florida hovers around the 6%, I think, range in terms of total tax burden, and New York is at 12%. So someone earning $100,000 spends $6,000 more a year in taxes, $500 a month more towards taxes to live in that state. And they look at it and say, am I getting the value from this extra money? Do I have some sort of perk or benefit, or do I really like living here so much more that I'm willing to pay the money out of what I earn? Now, again, people could say, oh, well, their income might drop in Florida or, all these things. But a lot of those myths have been debunked with people being able to work remotely now, and so much of the country proving the concept during COVID that they could work from home and still be productive. So again, more and more people, entrepreneurs, business owners moving here. It does stereotype a little between red and blue states, but Republican-leaning states typically have a lower tax burden on average. But the new report does not list tax rates, which vary by income bracket, but rather average tax burden. But New York and California famously seen as high tax jurisdictions, but they have other strong growth factors. But Texas has wooed a lot of California companies, and it continues to grow despite not being quite as good of a tax state as others, like Florida, for example. It is closer in proximity. So you see Texas and Arizona bringing a lot of California, but I've told this many times on the show. My office is really close to MacDill Air Force Base. I live really close to MacDill Air Force Base. Shout out to the MacDill Air Fest. The air show this week was amazing. I call it the sound of freedom. Getting to watch all that this past week was amazing. But in all the years that I've lived here, I rarely would see a California license plate except for a military person. A military person that's getting PCS'd from California to Florida, and they keep their California plate. However, the last couple of years, I have seen more California plates here in Florida than I have ever seen. And again, some of the California, migration out of the state is coming here. A lot's going to Texas and Arizona, but we're seeing more California moves that are not real estate than we've ever seen. And it really does boil down to, three factors. One, taxes. Okay. No question about it. Taxes and affordability. Two, politics. There are people in some states that are moving here because they like the politics. And then third, a lot of the COVID response. People that wanted to move because they were afraid of another COVID and they didn't want to live in a state that was going to tell them they couldn't leave their house or go out to eat or go to a restaurant. So those are really the main drivers for population growth. It's really never been more polarizing politically, to where people are literally up and moving from areas of the country based on how polarizing the politics are, how different the politics are in that given area. So again, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. Hopefully that information was helpful for you to understand why we are seeing population growth and where your taxes that you might complain about now align with other parts of the country. The grass is certainly not always greener on the other side. At the Duncan Duo, when we aren't on air, to follow all of our socials. We'll keep you updated on everything that's going on in Tampa Bay real estate. DuncanDuoParty.com, last call. It's in a few hours. It is today from 2 to 6. We're going to have skating on the Amalie Arena ice. We're going to have signed memorabilia and ticket giveaways. A lot of really cool things. It is a community event. And again, you can RSVP at DuncanDuoParty.com. Again, that is DuncanDuoParty.com. So I want to move next to talking about, and I mentioned this before, this idea that interest rates are going to drop in the second half of the year. And they're going to, okay? Most people are predicting it. The Fed is predicting it. Historically, in election years, they go down. We're expecting that to happen. When that happens, prices are going to rise. But I was talking to a customer this week that had a foreclosure a few years ago. It is not as common today for foreclosures. There just aren't as many of them out there. But there are people that have gone through economic crises, or that have a foreclosure from their past, and they want to know, how can I qualify for a mortgage again after foreclosure? So if you've been through a foreclosure, you've gone through one of the worst real estate ordeals there is, but the experience doesn't mean that you can't become a homeowner again. In fact, it's much easier to qualify for a mortgage after a major credit event than you may think, but it depends on the circumstances of your foreclosure. So if you want to get it back out there, here's some tips to still qualify for a mortgage if you've had a foreclosure. So when it comes to the waiting period, typically every mortgage program is a little bit different. For some, the conventional mortgage program, for example, it may be 7 years, okay? For government-backed mortgages, it's going to be shorter than that. For government-backed mortgages, there's a little bit more flexibility. But again, can you go through the steps? There are waivers where they will allow you to very quickly qualify for a home. A military move, for example, is one that if you had a foreclosure and because of a move from the military, you can also apply for aid in situations where you had a medical type emergency or some sort of family emergency that caused a home to go to foreclosure. Those are reasons that you can get a waiver. But the waiting period is 2 years for FHA, VA, government-backed mortgages. So you can qualify within 2 years. However, that doesn't mean you're automatically qualified. It doesn't mean that, I waited my 7 years, now I can go get a mortgage. You still have to go through the steps to qualify. Here are some things you can do to land a new mortgage by showing that the foreclosure resulted in a significant financial hardship from what you have recovered, okay? providing documentation of the hardship you claim, proof of paid medical bills, certainly bad financial choices are not considered major health problems, but you'll need to provide an explanation letter. It could be something like a business failure, the passing of a business partner. Just keep in mind, there's no one size fits all to lenders dealing with this situation. The FHA, for instance, is particular about what it constitutes a financial hardship. Serious illness, death of a wage earner may be acceptable, whereas divorce may not be. So you might have been able to work through a divorce, but not through an illness or death. How to rebuild your credit. For a potential borrower, a major component of landing a new mortgage is demonstrating you have bounced back. So to boost your credit score, lenders typically like to see a score of at least 580. Paying your bills on time, having credit, paying off credit, making all good financial moves, keeping paperwork on file is certainly helpful. A non-prime lender. There are lenders out there that will loan you money at a higher interest rate typically, or maybe a higher down payment. When you've had a foreclosure or short sale in your background. A mortgage advisor is always the right place to go. A lot of times, we get CPAs that get those mortgage questions from consumers, and the guidelines for loan products change all the time. So if you're asking someone that is not a mortgage lender after a foreclosure how to qualify for a mortgage, you are asking the wrong person. You need to talk to a mortgage professional to help you qualify and help you understand your specific situation, because there's no one size fits all. We have seen people have a foreclosure and qualify for a new mortgage 6 months later. Okay. We've seen people have a foreclosure and 7 years later still can't qualify. You need someone to look at your credit, your financial situation, understand the hardship that caused the foreclosure, and then help guide you towards the path of putting a package together that the lender can look at and say, okay, I'm willing to take the risk on this person, even though they had a foreclosure. So every situation's different. Is it possible? Yes. But it will really depend on your financial situation, what you've done, what you've not done, what your credit looks like, what your income looks like, and the property you're buying, as well as the down payment. It's not always just about the borrower. Sometimes mortgages can get declined because of the property, the condition of the property, the age of the roof, the age of the electric, how safe that property appears to a mortgage lender. So hopefully that helps you if you're in one of those tough situations. If you want to avoid foreclosure and you still have equity, but you're behind, get an instant cash offer at DuncanDuo.com. We've helped a lot of people avoid foreclosure with an instant cash offer. And again, you can do that at DuncanDuo.com. We'll be back after a quick break, wrapping up the show with our last segment. Again, after a quick break here on WFLA News. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. And through my real estate career, I've had the opportunity to work with celebrities and athletes alike in their home buying and home selling journey. And it's interesting. There was an article this week that says, buy like an A-lister. Steal these home buying secrets from celebrities. And it's interesting because I read through the list, and every single one on the list we've had some exposure to, where we have dealt with a situation like that with a celebrity. So I want to go through these, and maybe I'll relate some personal experiences with working with celebrities. Most of the time we sign non-disclosure agreements to where we can't really disclose a lot of the clients that we work with, whether it's a professional athlete or whether it's a celebrity that we've worked with. There are a lot of times where we're not able to disclose names. So I won't necessarily explain names, but I know everyone loves the celebrity gossip stuff, the TMZ, we've had some experience with that. So one of the first tips, a lot of A-listers will not actually go look at the home first. They'll send a trusted confidant, a spouse, an agent, a buddy, a friend. They'll send someone else to go look at the home first to kind of get a vibe before the A-lister finds it to be worth their time. Now, would I recommend that for regular people? No, of course, depending on your income bracket and how busy you are. But A lot of times the spouse is someone that does that. One spouse will go, the other spouse won't, because if one of the spouses doesn't like it, it ain't going to work. Both got to like it for the house to work, or you're going to get divorced. So, make sure that spouses agree. I've seen that too many times to count. The second part of that, though, is that you can bring along someone for a second set of eyes. The elite play it cool. They have loads of cash, but they're not emotionally attached to the buying process. They're not going to walk through a home and be like, "Oh, I'm so in love." They're much more calm with their emotions because they're used to having money and having opportunities to buy amazing things. So when you do tour a home, if you want to properly negotiate, you certainly don't want to let everyone know there that you are all about it. Security is number one. So, that's something you can learn from celebrities. Properties that are gated or have tree growth to protect the property, high-profile home buyers. The deal breakers are location and the levels of privacy and security that the property offers. So, some tips you can take from celebrities. Again, pay attention to the security. How safe do you feel with the property and its location? Celebs have to commute too, so location matters. And it doesn't always mean the commute via vehicle. There are plenty of A-listers that buy homes because they're looking to commute via plane or they're looking to commute via helicopter. So their commute isn't just always about commuting in a car, but a lot of celebrities don't want to be too far out from an urban core or places where their business may bring them, and certainly proximity to an airport. So they have to commute as well. A long must-have list can be crippling. So the one thing about A-listers is that they have the ability to solve problems with money. So similar to you may not have the ability to solve problems with money. A lot of A-listers are looking for a few things, but they don't expect the interior of a home to be perfect for them. They don't expect to find the turnkey perfect home. They expect to find a home that checks a lot of the boxes just like you, but then they're going to personalize it. The difference is they may have a zero or two more in their renovation budget than you, but they're certainly not looking to check every box with a property. Consumers can learn from that because far too often we have customers say, "I want all of these things." And they're not going to find all those things for the price. There's a few of those things that they have to give in on that they can solve after closing. So renovations are not a stumbling block for celebrities. And typically they're going to have another home that they're going to live in until they move into that one. They can just simply extend the time in which they live in that property and keep owning that before they sell it or rent it. And consequently have the home renovated before they happen to move in. And A-listers also don't like to announce a purchase. I saw a friend not long ago post on Facebook the other day, and it's pretty common knowledge where I live. And, I guess I'm just not afraid. It's been known because of videos, and in Florida, you can kind of look that stuff up. But I had a friend say, "Hey, I'm not posting my address anywhere because I want to keep my home safe." Well, so just like, any regular average person may not want to announce to the world where they moved or that they just moved so that people can look it up, celebrities choose not to for a variety of reasons. One, they don't want to attract extra attention to the property. They don't want the tour buses showing up. Those are all reasons why A-listers don't advertise and let you know, and they don't announce their purchase. They keep it quiet. Now, a lot of times it gets discovered, and sometimes it gets outed by some sort of public record search, but celebrities don't necessarily want to let people know where they live, and they move regularly for the purposes of protecting their privacy. So hopefully some of those are all things that we've dealt with in our real estate career. And, they're things that you hear about when you're paying attention to celebrity real estate. And again, when we aren't on air at the Duncan Duo, get your home value estimate at DuncanDuo.com or get an instant cash offer at DuncanDuo.com, and have an awesome rest of your weekend, Tampa Bay.